Okay. Did anyone here take a nap? Cat nap? No? Just me? Okay. All right, so we have our next TED Talk. We have just 3 left. This one is actually kind of like the first part because this topic is split between 2 people. So Andy's going to be covering the first part on how to habit. Habits are something that we have to deal with every single day, whether we're trying to make a new one or trying to break an old one. But this is something that I think could be applicable for all of us. So without further ado, here is Angie.
Hi guys, my name is Angie and I'll be talking about how to habit. First, we need to know, what is a habit? So a habit can be as simple as brushing your teeth or making your bed. But habits can also be bad. So like you could, be on your phone all night and like not exercise, which is not good. Don't do that. And a habit is basically a routine or like a behavior that is performed regularly or usually automatically. Now I want to start with a story. It's a real life story about a British cycling team. So this is a British cycling team, and they formed in the early 19s. I don't really know, and they were really bad. They were trash at cycling. They were so bad that there's this really famous bike manufacturer thing, and they didn't sell any of their bikes to these cyclists because that's how bad they are. Wow. And throughout 110 years, they only won 1 world championship. That's how bad they were. But one day, everything changed when this man came as their coach. His name is Dave Brailsford. I don't know if that's how you say it, but it's okay. And he wasn't like any other coach. He had a strategy that no one else had. The strategy is called the aggregation of marginal gains. And basically, the strategy is to look for tiny margins of improvement in everything you do. So basically, he would break down everything that goes into a bike and think how to improve it by 1%. So he can make the bike better. So Brailsford, he would basically just change a bunch of things about everything. So he would make the bike seat more comfortable and nice to sit on, and he would wipe the wheels with alcohol so they can have a better grip on the floor. And he would change the clothing so it's more better, comfortable and more aerodynamic. So he would make it. He would just change it like that. And so the clothing is now better. Little happy face. That's when you know it's good. And so he was so good. He got the best massage gel there is, so there could be a quick muscle recovery because that's what you want when your muscles are dead. I don't know. And then he would hire a surgeon to make sure everyone is washing their hands correctly and to make sure no one gets sick as easily as they should. And he would find the perfect bed and pillow so everyone could have a good night's rest. He went as far as to the inside of the truck was before it was black, but he painted it white. So you could see the dust on the bike better. So to clean it out. So after 5 years of him doing all this, they're winners. And so they won 66 Olympic and Paralympic gold awards, 178 world champions, and 5 wins in Tour de France, which is the biggest cycling event in Europe, I guess. I don't know. And they did this all in 10 years, which is crazy. That's a lot of wins. And you may ask yourself, how did this happen? How did they win so much from just tiny little things? Well, the answer is simple. Small habits make a big difference. small habits make a difference, you may ask? Well, it's easy to think that small improvements are like useless and you should use like bigger improvements. Though it might be hard to notice these small improvements, they're like the best thing for the long run. And this chart can show you how. So if you see here, the line going up is if you improve 1% every day. So that's like, let's say you like do this, improve in something for a year. You get like 37 times better. That's pretty good, you know? You're like a noob to a pro. But you know, you can do bad things in life and decline 1% a year. You go all the way down to 0. And that 0 is a pretty bad number, I'm not gonna lie. Okay, and I have a personal example of me improving. Maybe not every day, but you know, improving is improving. So my goal this year was to draw better. So I would like draw, not every day, that's a lot of work, I'm not gonna lie. But at least I would like learn how to draw better from like, I don't know, TikTok. And good way to learn. So in the beginning of the year, like mid-January, this is how my art was looking. It was like, I'm not gonna lie, I didn't like it. So it was like okay. But I didn't like really like stuff like that anatomy and like this style I do. So I like drew like every day to make it better. This is the better. So I like do this over the summer because I'm gonna be real. Like during the school, I like drew twice a month, so it wasn't really every day. But in the summer, I like grinded so I could draw better. And so this is the thing, you know, it's pretty good, you know. Nice. So now that we know how to improve by like small percentage, we need to know the reality of the progress. So this is a chart of reality. See, there's 2 lines as you can see. One is what you think would happen during your progress of getting better, and this is the reality, which is pretty slopey. And so again, there's like 4 phases, I'd say, like the start, like disappointment and potential is like the intersection, and the end is when you go up because you reach your goal. So around the start and like between this like gap is what I'd say is the valley of disappointment. The valley of disappointment is basically where, let's say your goal is to become a bodybuilder. So you work out in the gym, and like after a couple of months, you're not seeing the gains, and you're like, man, this sucks. I'm still kind of have the noodle arms, and it's not working. So you just give up at this point, and you're like, I'm not doing this goal no more. I'm gonna eat whatever I want. So your dream's gone. But if you find that undiscovered potential, and you cross through that intersection and be like, I can do this. I can just like train for, I don't know, a couple more months. I don't know how it works. And you're like, hey, I did it. I'm not buff. See, that's how you do it. Yeah. So another good example of this is becoming an idol, specifically a K-pop idol, honestly. That's a good example. So let's say you're like a little kid and you're training to become an idol. Like you do some Just Dance every day to get better dancing, and do karaoke every night with your parents. And as you get older, you're better. You're like still pretty good, you know. And then you go. And now that you're better, you audition and you introduce yourself, start, and it's not working. You dance, and then you sing, and a couple months later, after your audition, you get a phone call, and you got it. You're such a good dancer. I don't know, you're just good. And so you're not in a training program, and then you realize something because it's been a couple months. You're like, wait a minute, I'm dancing and singing for a little too much, and the little too much is like 16 hours. I don't know about you, that's a lot of dancing and singing. I would only wake up and go to sleep. That's like 12 hours. That's long. And you're like, I don't know about this. I don't know if it's healthy. And while you dance and sing for 16 hours, you have to look good. And looking good could be hard for some people. I don't know. I judged by people. And if you don't make the cut, you're gone. Your dream's dead. And so you notice that people in your group start leaving. That it's supposed to leave, but it didn't. But people are supposed to leave like this, and you're like, oh no, people are giving up. That's so sad. Should I give up with them? But you're like, no, I'm strong. And you continue the journey of becoming a K-pop idol. So, six years later, you become an idol because you did it. You persevered. Okay. So, that's short story related to what I said about the passing through the undiscovered potential. Because at the start, let's say the start was basically an audition. Because I'm just saying, Just Dance and karaoke doesn't get you that far. So that was your start, the audition, and you got in. And this is where the disappointment comes in, because that training program is really harsh. So that's why a lot of people leave and like give up, or they just get caught up. But it's whatever. But then you realize I can do it. So you pass through the undiscovered potential, and you're like, I'm better. So you debut as New Jeans. So basically, the summary is habit is a routine, is a behavior that is performed regularly and usually automatically. And tiny habits make a huge difference over time. Persevere through the valley of disappointment to reach your goals. Thank you. Yeah, do you guys have any questions? Yeah. How come you don't get started? Because I'm strong like that. That's why I persevered through my goals, so I don't have stage fright. Does anyone else have any questions? Okay, I guess I'm done.
That's gold. Yeah, come on, guys. And then it's your goal. It's your goal. All right, thank you so much, Angie, for that amazing TED Talk about habits. A lot of the talks that we've had so far, for those of you guys who are a little bit like don't really know this about our particular program, for the past maybe like 6 months or so, about half of the people that have given talks so far have a class with me on Sundays where we would talk about these kinds of things, talking about things like habits, talking about things like mentorship, leadership, public speaking skills, things that are not necessarily taught in class because I don't live in Northern Virginia as frequently anymore, so this is stuff that's kind of like virtual. But if anyone is interested in that kind of thing, if you like a lot of the talks that we're doing, you guys can reach out to me or to Kylie, and we'll talk more about if there's not interest, we can like go back to doing that kind of seminar style. But now we have our second part of our habit talk by Annie. So let's give it up for Annie.
I know you're probably tired of talking about habits, but I'm still going to talk about it. So before I start, I'm going to teach you about how to make a good habit and how to break a bad habit. Unlike Angie said, okay, this is different. I'm not repeating what she said. So why should we first? I know it seems like a common sense question, but you know, my brother told me to put it in, so I did. So why should we? Because habits are a factor that makes our identity. So for example, if I clean my room every single week, people are gonna be like, oh, you're so organized and you're so neat. But if I don't and it's like really messy and dirty, they're gonna be like, oh, you're messy, you're lazy, that's not good, okay? So habits create a big factor of our identity. And like we heard about the British cycling stories and getting 1% every day better, that can help you through your lifetime. And it's good, okay? And also, I hate to break it to you guys, but school's coming soon, okay? And if you're taking AP history and like, if you play too much sleep and you don't do your homework, you're not gonna get an A, like someone I know. Okay? And I know this from personal experience, because see that boy right there? He got roasted by my parents on his birthday because he got a B. It's okay, I love you too. I love you too. I love you too. Next slide. There are 4 laws into making a good habit. The first law is to make it obvious. I know that sounds weird, but I'll explain it. So the first step in the first law is to become aware of our habits. Okay? So because when we make a habit, it becomes so automatic that sometimes we don't even realize we have a habit and we don't know if it's good or bad. So a way to become aware of our habits is a habit scorecard. The habit scorecard is basically when you write a list of your habits, and then next to it, you identify if it's good, bad, or neutral. So I'm gonna give you an example. Like I wake up and you check your phone, you wash your face, and you brush your teeth. Okay, so you wake up, that's neutral. You're not special, you wake up. You check your phone, that's pretty bad. Unless you're turning off your alarm, then don't check your phone, okay? Don't check your Duolingo streak, it's okay. You wash your face, that's good, good job. Washing your face is good. You brush your teeth, good job, it's good to be hygienic. Like Kayleen said, if you don't brush your teeth in the morning, your breath stinks. Okay, now that we've become aware of our habits, we need to make our habit cues more obvious. So first of all, what is habit cue? A habit cue is what triggers the habit loop. So for example, your phone rings in your pocket. That's a cue for you to check your phone. Or like, there's a dirty dish on the table. That's a cue for you to wash the dish. Okay, don't leave your mom to wash your dishes for you. That's bad. Okay, your mom works a lot. Okay? So, a way to make our habit cues more obvious is the implementation intention. So what this is basically this formula right here. You want to write this down with a habit you like need to do. So, for example, I will go to the gym at 5 p.m. at Planet Fitness. You want to be as specific as possible because there's studies proven that people who do this, it works better, okay? If it works, it works. I don't know how it works, but it does. Another implementation intention is habit stacking. So instead of pairing a habit you need with the time and location, you're pairing a habit you need with the current habit you already have. So for example, after I brush my teeth, I will open my computer to do my AP history homework. And another method to make it more obvious is to change your environment. Environment is a really big factor in what we do, even though we don't really notice it at all. So for example, if you're at like a convenience store, most likely you'll buy things at eye level instead of the ones on the top of the shelf and the bottom of the shelf, because you don't see it. So what you see is a big factor on what you do. So for example, if you want to play guitar, but your guitar's in your closet. First of all, why is it in your closet? If guitars are expensive, okay? So you want to move your guitar to somewhere you can see. So for example, like in the middle of your living room, or in the middle of your living room, or your bedroom, or somewhere you can see it. So that'll be cute for you to play your guitar. The second law, to make a good habit, is to make it attractive. We like good things, okay? It's like food. If you see good food, you want to eat it. If you see food that looks like throw up, you don't want to eat it. So a method to make it more attractive is temptation bundling. Temptation bundling is when you pair a habit you need with a habit you want. So for example, I'll do my AP history homework, and then I will play League of Legends. And remember how I told you about habit stacking? So if we combine temptation bundling and habit stacking, then we will get a bigger and better formula. Okay, because it's obvious.
obvious and attractive. So if you combine it, it will look like this. After I brush my teeth, I will open my computer to do my AP history homework and then play League of Legends. Okay? Another method to make it more attractive is to join a culture or a club. What other people do really impacts what we do because we like to go with the herd, with the crowd, basically. So for example, if you want to like run more, then you should join track or cross country at your school because then a bunch of people will be running with you. And you're supposed to run in track, so you'll probably get kicked out if you don't run anyway. Yeah. Another method is to highlight the good things. So for example, before a game or a presentation, like this TED Talk, you're nervous, right? But nervousness and excitedness, they have the same feelings, like racing heartbeat or like sweaty hands. I'm not a doctor, I don't know this, but basically, you have to gaslight yourself into thinking you're yeah. So we're using gaslighting in a good way, okay? Not a bad way. I'm not encouraging you to gaslight your friends, okay? You have to gaslight yourself only. You have to convince yourself that you're excited. Okay, I'm trying to gaslight myself right now. I don't know if it's working, but hopefully it's working. You're doing great. Thank you. Okay, so another method is to think positive. Instead of thinking, I have to do this, I get to do this, okay? I know you guys, some of you guys don't want to go to CSS. So, I get to go to CSS. CSS is a great place. Because, not many people have CSS. Some people out there are, like, really struggling, okay? Like, CSS is a great place, okay, for family. Another thing is to associate good things or habits with good things. So, for example, if Benjamin doesn't want to go to the gym, okay, it's not true. It's not true. I know Ben loves going to the gym. He always talks about the gym with me. That's not true. I love you, Ben. But he can bring a friend to go with him because friends make everything better. Okay. The third law to making a good habit is to make it easy. To make it easy, you want to decrease friction. So what this means is you want to decrease the amount of steps to do the habit. So for example, your guitar's in the closet, so move it to somewhere easier to access. Because if it's in the closet, you have to like go to your room, go to your closet, open the closet, get the guitar. Okay, that's a lot of work. So you want to do it, you want to move the guitar so it's like easier to access. Another way to make it easy is the 2-minute rule. The 2-minute rule is basically when you want to start a new habit, you want to make it so it takes less than 2 minutes to do the habit. So for example, you want to go to the gym. Okay. First of all, you need to get into the habit of going to the gym. Like, just go to the gym. Just go and then leave. Go back home. Okay, do whatever. And then you want to increase the amount of minutes you go to the gym. So, for example, you go to the gym for 5 minutes, and then you go for 10 minutes, you go for 30, you go for an hour, you go 2 hours. I don't know. You can go for the whole day if you want. I really don't care. That's the method. Okay. And then another method is to master decisive moments. Decisive moments is if you do a bad habit, it's most likely you make another bad choice, and then another bad choice, and then another one. So vice versa for good choices. So you see this graph right here? So let's say you start the day with a good choice, okay? And then you make another good choice, then you make a bad choice, whatever. Good choice, good choice. See how they're like more good choices than bad choices? It's because you started the day with a good choice. Oh, I should use a laser pointer, sorry. If this is a bad choice, it probably would have looked different because you probably would have made more bad choices. So this is why you should make your bed. Because when you make your bed, you're showing you're in control of your actions. So then you'll more likely make more good choices. So raise your hand if you made your bed today, guys. Yeah, everybody? Okay. Tomorrow, I better see all of you make your bed, okay? So the last law to make good habits is to make it satisfying. So you want to reward yourself. So how do you reward yourself? You can use a habit tracker. A habit tracker is a visual way to measure your progress. For example, it could be an Excel calendar, it could be a checklist, or it could be the paperclip method. So the paperclip method is basically when you have an empty jar and you have a jar full of paperclips. So whenever time you make a good choice or like a good habit or something, you want to move a paperclip to the empty jar. So if you keep doing that, you can measure your progress through how many paperclips you have in the jar. Another method that is a habit tracker is the piggy bank method. The piggy bank method is basically when you make a savings account for something you want, like a new jeans album or like a vacation to Korea. I don't know. Oh, sorry guys. No, not that. Anyway, you make a savings account of something you want, and then every time you make a good habit or good choice, you want to move some money to the savings account. And this is really rewarding because, like, when you get the thing you want, it feels like you earned it, and you did. Okay, so it's like rewarding. So another piece of advice is never miss twice, because if you miss once, that's okay. There's emergencies, like if your dog died, then you don't have to go to the gym, okay? so yeah, never miss twice, but go to the gym the next day, okay? Like if you miss twice, then the flow is like gone, unless like your other dog died. Yeah, just don't miss twice, guys, unless it's like really bad, okay? So next slide. I know there's a lot to fit in your brains. There's a lot to fit in my brain too. So we have tea time. What questions do you guys have? No? Not even how cute this cat looks? Guess who drew that? Not me. Okay. Next slide. So I talked about how to make a good habit with 4 laws. Make it obvious, make it attractive, make it easy, and make it satisfying. So now I'm going to talk about how to break bad habits. So what we're going to do is inverse those 4 laws. So instead of make it obvious, we're going to make it invisible. So you want to remove your cues of bad habits in your environment. So let's say you're doing your AP history homework, and then you get like a notification on your phone, and your friend's like, "Oh, Dad, you want to hop on League?" And like that's pretty distracting for you. Okay, so you want to move your phone somewhere else, like your mom's closet. Okay? Like I said, environment is really important. Okay, it's like environment is really important. It's so important. Someone made a math equation. This looks like something you'd find in algebra. So what this means is behavior is a function of a person in their environment. And so we're gonna like play a little game of hide and seek. Find him. Find him. If you can find it, I'll give you something. Something that is so priceless. If you can find this equation in here, I'll give you something.
Oh, I see it.
You see it? You
The
see it?
circle.
Yeah, that's right. It's right here. Isn't that like really convincing though? Like, doesn't this look like you find it in algebra?
No.
Alright, well, since you found it, I'll give you something. It's in my pocket. I don't have the pocket, but it's in my bag. You have my love. All right, to the second law. So instead of making it attractive, we're gonna make it unattractive. You want to make the food you made look like throw. We want to make it look so burnt it looks like Ben's Korean barbecue. So we want to reframe our mindset. And you're probably wondering why I have this smoking sign on here. I don't smoke, don't worry. So there's this book. In the book, that doesn't make sense, but there's this book, and it's Alan Carr's Easy Way to Stop Smoking. And there's this quote in the book that I find really cool and inspiring. And the quote in the book basically is, you think you're quitting smoking, but you're not quitting anything because cigarettes never did anything for you. Like, isn't that cool? Okay, you want to reframe your mindset so that the bad habits look bad and the good habits look good. So like, for example, I don't want to go to the gym. Oh, well, if I go to the gym, I can get stronger, I can get gains, I can get so strong, I can flex on my friends. Okay? And the third law, instead of making it easy, we're making it hard. So instead of decreasing friction, we want to increase friction. So for example, you eat chocolate a lot. Oh, I used to eat chocolate a lot. This is a personal example. I used to eat chocolate a lot, right? So I put chocolate in my bag, and then I put it somewhere, like at the bottom of the pantry closet, so I couldn't see it. And it worked. I didn't eat chocolate for 3 months straight until I found it, but then I kind of ignored it. It worked. Another way to make it hard is to create a commitment device. So what a commitment device is a choice that will control your future actions. So for example, you want to eat less. So you can buy smaller bowls, so then you eat less. Or you can buy food in individual packaging. Because like usually if it's in individual packaging, you only eat one package, unless you're a psychopath. So, this was an example from the book. If you're sad, buy a dog. If you're broke and lazy like me, I don't want to take care of a dog. So another way to be happier is to hang out with your friends and stuff, okay? And the fourth one, make it unsatisfying. So a method is a habit contract. And we're gonna have a little story time. A habit contract, basically this dude, Brian Harris, this dude from Tennessee, he wanted to like lose a few pounds. So what he did is he wrote down his goals, and then he wrote down punishments if he didn't do his goals. Like for example, one of his goals was like, I'll like stick to a diet, and then if he didn't stick to his diet, then he had to give like $50 to his wife. Yeah. And then he made his wife and his personal trainer like sign it. And it worked. He did it, like he lost pounds, he's fit now. I don't know what happened to him. I read the story, I don't know what happened to him now. But yeah, it worked. I mean, you get the gist of it, of a habit contract. But I'm not saying punishment is the best way to learn. Okay, I'm not telling you to hit your kids in the future. I'm not saying that, even though spatulas hurt. Anyway. So before I wrap this up, I'm just gonna like create a quick summary. So how to create good habits? The first law, make it obvious. Second law, make it attractive. Third law, to make it easy. Fourth law, make it satisfying. How to break bad habits? Make it invisible, make it unattractive, make it hard, and make it unsatisfying. So before I go, we have tea time. What questions do you guys have? No questions? There's a reason why I didn't do it, Angie. It's not because I hate her. I love my cousin, my beloved cousin. It's not because I hate her. It's because I was inspired by my big brother to do it alone. It was so I know my TEDtalks aren't as good as his, but I'll get there one day. I'll beat you. Thank you.
I'm not sure what I just witnessed, but one thing I would say, right, is that great job, Andy. I learned a lot from your talk. I learned also from Andy how to be a K-pop star. I also learned that I think that Ben loves you very much. All right. So last but not least, we have our final talk for today. I have to be honest, when I saw this talk, I got to preview all of them. I was very impressed. I was very intrigued with the topic of this talk. So without further ado, let's invite Isabel.
Hi, my name is Isabel. A few of you probably don't recognize my face because it is my first year at CSS. So if you haven't met me or you haven't talked to me, hi, come talk to me because we're really new friends. My name is Isabel. I'm a rising junior, and this is my talk, the dot. I really wanted to focus on a topic that was, I feel like, focuses more on really bringing out the common sense, because we have common sense, but sometimes like other things in our life hide the common sense, and you're like, oh, it's common sense, we're gonna ignore it because I'm gonna go play video games, or I'm gonna go do this, or I'm gonna get distracted by other aspects of life, which, I mean, it happens to the best of us, but I'm gonna be that kind of person that brings you back to earth with my amazing presentation, the dot. Okay, without further ado, let's begin. All right, so everyone in life has a certain philosophy, right? If you haven't figured it out now, don't worry, it'll come to you in the future. But for me, even though according to probably a lot of parents, she's like, oh my God, she's 16, why is she like lecturing us? I'm like, don't worry, I got it in the back. For me, I'm an artist, so a lot of things in my life I like to relate to art. I've been drawing since I was little, so I like to express my emotions through art. I remember when I was little, I was doing math, and I got really frustrated at this one problem. So I just gave up, and I drew a little girl with an angry face and like her hair on fire instead of doing math problems. So that was just my way of coping with stress and other like emotions that burden me a lot. And I'm sure other people have other ways, by like either go to the gym or listening to music or hanging out with your friends, which all of those coping mechanisms are really valid. And over time, those ways of coping and these feelings that you feel as you learn to de-stress yourself, they help shape how you go about your life or your life philosophy. So for me, my philosophy is that our life is like a blank canvas, right? And if you're not an artist, congrats. Today you're an artist. You're gonna paint a blank canvas just like this. And now my canvas, I think that the actions in our life are what shape our canvas. So let's say as an artist, I start with my painting. I don't really have an idea when I paint usually at most of the time. I kind of just sit there, it takes me a few minutes, I come up with an idea. But I like to think that like in life, obviously you don't have your whole life planned out. Just like how when I paint, I don't have a general idea of what this is gonna look like, because I'm a person who over time most likely I'm gonna add some of this, some of that. And so I don't really have a structure that I have or as a complete picture of my painting yet. Same thing with life. I like to think it that way. I don't know what I'm gonna be in 20 years. I honestly don't know what I'm gonna do tomorrow. So it's like something that I'm going to have to let play out in my life. And I've learned to not grow stressed about that. Just like how I'm painting, I'm not worried about how it's going to turn out, because in the end, it's something that I created with my actions. And so it's something that I should be proud about. Another metaphor that I think I thought about this, someone mentioned it to me, and I think it also relates really well, is pottery. I don't know how many of you guys have worked with clay before, but when you're working with clay, you start with a structure, right? Usually in elementary school, they give you like a small slab, and they say, oh, make a pinch pot, or make a clown, or make a dog, or whatever you want. But they give you some of the slab, and you start shaping it over time. You don't just magically start attaching pieces. You have to start shaping it over time. And like in life, your actions are going to be shaping who you are, no matter how big they are, no matter how small they are. Every single action, whether you know it or not, it's going to shape you in the future. Just like how in pottery, every single little detail, you have to start with its base structure, right? So like, let's say you're building a dog. You need the body. You can't just start attaching ears and make it like some random dog with flying ears. You need to start with the base. Just like in this picture here, this person started with the base. It looks like they're making a base. In life, you need to start with sort of building. And over time, your actions are going to be the ones to shape whatever you make. So over here are a bunch of quotes and other advice that I don't know if they're all philosophers, but definitely a lot of people have over time through their lives, they've come up with these pieces of advice, and I just looked it up on the internet, pieces of life advice. But as I said earlier, you in the future, you're gonna come up with a lot of, along with your experiences and the people that you meet and the things that you go through, you're gonna slowly start coming up with your own philosophy. For me, I've lived a grand 16 years of my life, which I know very impressive. And throughout my life, even though I'm not as old as my parents, I've lived through enough, I've met enough people, and I've experienced enough to kind of help myself do the right things, in my opinion, that'll help me guide myself along the right path in the future. For example, let's say 2 years ago, or 3 years ago. Well, let's say a little bit about myself first. Since you guys probably don't know me, I'm a theater kid. I've done theater for around 4 years now, which is probably the best decision of my life. I joined the drama club after school in 7th grade, fresh out of elementary school. And at first I was really hesitant because it was like, I feel like drama kids have a really bad reputation, which is totally wrong, by the way. If you haven't had drama kid, you definitely should. They're really nice people. But I joined the drama club, and my first impression was this place is not for me because I was really introverted at the time. There were people like throwing toilet paper everywhere. There was people, I kid you not, I walk into the drama club classroom and this kid is trying to eat hand sanitizer. Like, I don't know why. Who told him it was a good idea? But he's crossed like a little mole next to that hand sanitizer bottle. And he's like trying to, I don't even know. It was a long time ago. But it was definitely a really chaotic experience. I was like, you know what? New middle school, new me. Let's just try this out, see how it goes. So I gave it a shot, and I went to my first play 2 months later, and I think, like I said, it was probably the best experience or the best decision I've ever made. Because if I hadn't decided to pursue drama, I do not think I would be the person I am today. And if you've seen me in camp, your first impression of me is probably she yells a lot, she flies a lot, she yells a lot, and she falls down, and she creates a lot of chaos, which I'm guilty of. But through drama, I've learned that the best way to go about your life is to really just let yourself be who you want to be. I know Kayleen and Ashley talked about this in their presentation earlier, but you don't need to try to be popular. You don't need to try to make people like you, because if they like you, they like you. If they don't like you, they don't like you. I learned that through drama as well. Through really expressing myself and not caring as much what people think. And that's why whenever people do presentations or like whenever I'm talking to people, I kind of wanted them to feel the same way. Like, it's okay to be comfortable. Like, I'm allowing you to be comfortable. You don't need to try to be awkward, or you don't need to try to fake a conversation with me, small talk or anything like that. Just be who you are. And I really appreciate that type of thing with people. So next here, we're going to go back to that canvas analogy I talked about. Like I said, today you guys are all going to learn how to be artists. So I want you guys to envision a canvas, right? If you were to paint your canvas in a certain way according to your life, or however you want, how would you paint your canvas? It's a rhetorical question, you want to answer it. But I just want you to envision, like, would it be colorful? Would it be spotty? Would there be people in it? Like, what type of symbolism would you have? And kind of, once you've envisioned that, I want you to also ask yourself, if you were to finish your entire painting, and then in the end, I ask you, can you tell me, or can you explain to me every single detail in your painting? Just think about it. Would that be a yes or a no? Like, if you showed me your painting, I was like, oh, it's really cool. So, like, what's this tree symbolism? Or why'd you add these details over here? Could you explain to me all of it? Well, in my opinion, how I see it is that if I were to paint my canvas, there would be a main idea, right? A central subject or whatever for the viewer to focus on. And there would obviously be a lot of other details. But what I think tends to happen if you were to look at artwork, for example, and I asked that artist to explain a singular detail on their painting, while someone else may not be able to fully explain it, the artist definitely can, because it's their painting, right? They remember every single detail most of the time, and they know why that detail is there. But if a regular person were to just look at the painting, they would see the main idea. They wouldn't be able to tell the symbolism between a tiny detail or not. So that brings me to my next point. The big picture versus the small picture. In our lives, we tend to focus on the main events, such as, let me give you an example. You're focusing on a big test, that's the next day in school. And rather than, your friend invites you to a birthday party and you happen to forget about it because you're stressing about this one test, right? That's an example of focusing on the big picture instead of the small picture, because you're so stressed and all your feelings, your anxiety, and all of your emotions are just focused on, I gotta do well on this test. It's gonna impact my grade if I don't do good. And then let's say you show up to your friend's birthday and you're still thinking about that test. You can't bring yourself to enjoy the moment of your friend's big day because you're so stressed about this test. And you really feel bad about it because, like, hey, it's my friend's big day. I should be happy for them. But you just can't because all of your emotions are around this test. And in our lives, I myself am also guilty of this. We tend to focus on such big events and we end up neglecting smaller things. Like, for example, let's say you had a test and you ended up getting only 3-4 hours of sleep. Well, if you look at it in total, you're not going to do well on the test if you don't get that much sleep, right? Same thing with other events. Focusing on the big picture, such as, well, I can't think of another example, but my point is, as it says up here, too often in life we get caught up with all these big things, these exams, these deadlines. We just forget to honestly appreciate our living. Let's just, like, in the end, we're only human, right? So what I'm trying to say is that by focusing on the big picture too often, we tend to neglect other things that make us human. Like, for example, getting a good amount of sleep, taking care of our mental health, taking care of our hygiene, things like that. And when you get caught in that system of focusing on one big thing after another, you'll end up seeing that your conversations with other people, like your family, your friends, your loved ones, they become less genuine and authentic. And that's because all of these emotions are clouding your head, and it makes you only think about yourself and how you want to get out of this kind of anxiety spiral. So I'm going to talk about ways we can fix this. And honestly, I know in this day and age, mental health has been something that's been brought up a lot more, which is, honestly, I think it's appreciated a lot because definitely a lot of incoming freshmen and even middle schoolers, you guys need to hear about this because in our lives, it's really difficult to always stay authentic to other people and stay genuine. But a way of doing this is, number one, self-care. Contrary to popular belief, self-care is not selfish. And let me define it for you real quick. Self-care, let's say after a long day of school, I decide to go home and read a book. Instead of jumping right into schoolwork, I'm going to say, okay, I'm going to take my time. I'm going to read a book. I'm going to pick a book that I really like. Maybe I've read it before. I'm going to read it. I'm going to calm down, grab myself a snack maybe. I'm not going to spend an excessive time reading a book because I still have things I'm going to do. But I'm going to allow myself to settle in this moment while I'm reading my book. I'm not going to worry about school. I'm not going to worry about what I have to do tomorrow. I'm not going to worry about what I have to do tonight, like making dinner. I'm just going to enjoy this 30 minutes of myself reading this book. What is selfish in terms of, what is excessive in terms of self-care is, we're going to go back to League of Legends, since this was brought up a lot today. Spending 8 hours of League of Legends. Let's not do that. Or better, just don't play League of Legends, honestly.
No.
Don't play League of Legends. Just don't play. Self-care is something that, if it's done in large amounts, it becomes unhealthy because you end up neglecting things that you need to do, like your schoolwork, or taking care, or, well, not really taking care of yourself, but deadlines that need to be met. So self-care, like I said, engaging in a hobby maybe, like reading a book, or talking to friends, socializing, these things help you become more grounded with yourself. They help you ground yourself to earth, and really, well, that's not the right thing I wanted to say. They help really allow yourself to be more human in that sense. Instead of worrying about things that are going to happen in the future, by engaging in self-care, you're able to really ground yourself in the present, which I think a lot of people, myself included, I tend to worry a lot about the future or the past. And honestly, I think a really big message that I wanted to share today is that a really important thing is to just live in the present. And a way of doing that is by self-care, is really engaging in whatever you do, whether it's reading a book or going outside, just really appreciate whatever you're doing. Another thing, which also connects to it, is being present. Being present is something that also connects to self-care in that if you're doing, let's say you're reading a book, like I said, and I'm worried about school rather than reading my book, I'm not being present in the moment. Or I'm having a conversation with someone else, like my family, right? And I'm like absentmindedly trailing along. I'm like, yeah, that's cool. And maybe this person is talking to me about something they're really passionate about. That's, first of all, not very kind of me to do, and it's also unfair to them because they're really excited to talk to me. And I'm not being present in this moment by worrying about other things or letting my mind chill, which most of the time it's something that's unconscious. Like you don't need to do this, like you really care about this friend, you want to listen to them. But in that sense, if you're worried too much about other things and you're not present in the moment, you end up hurting yourself and other people. So a way by being present is, let's say, after school, well, I just use this after school analogy. Let's say after dinner, they're going for a walk outside, right? Just going for a walk outside with their dog. Just really enjoy that moment instead of worrying about other things. It helps you be present with yourself. It helps you, like how we do meditation in CSS, you really feel yourself in your own body. You're able to feel that you're there in that moment. Nothing else matters. And tomorrow will come and you can worry about tomorrow. For today, just focus on what you're doing and really enjoy what you're doing. The future is to come. When the future comes, just take care of it. Because, all the bad days that have happened, you've gone past them, right? If another bad day comes, you just need to collect yourself, focus on what you can do, and then you'll be able to move past it. So the third thing that I have up here is taking time. Similar to being present, taking time allows yourself to recollect and really settle in the moment that you're being in. Let's say we're going to go back to my painting analogy. Taking time to work on a painting really helps me because painting to me is a sort of self-care in that sense. I really enjoy painting. So when I'm painting, I like to take time, and sometimes I get you in trouble because my friends are like, oh my god, it's time to eat dinner, and I'm just painting. But it's something I really enjoy doing because it helps me collect myself, and it helps me really settle in my moment. And I think that other hobbies that you guys might enjoy, and like obviously not spending excessive time playing video games or like excessive time playing games or whatever, or any other hobby, just allowing yourself to settle in whatever you do and taking time to really appreciate that moment, it'll help you regain your thoughts and have have confidence in the next step you're gonna do. For example, after I'm done painting, I feel more calm and I'm not worried about what I'm gonna have to do next until that moment comes, if that makes sense. So my next point, there we go. My concluding message is that your life is your own. No matter what other people say, a lot of people are gonna try to control you into a person they want you to be. If they don't like you, they're gonna push that belief upon you, like, hey, I really don't like you. Or let's say other people, your peers, or other people are gonna try to force you into a lifestyle you don't want. And in those moments of stress or like anxiety, all those three things that I mentioned earlier, those really help you just settle within yourself and come up with the next right thing to do. What I mean by your life is your own is that just let yourself be who you are. You don't need to worry about the future. Just let yourself appreciate every moment that you live, because in the end, you're only human. And all of your struggles that happen, they don't happen to you, they happen for you. And these struggles are going to help you grow as a person. Every bad day lets you grow as a person. And in the end, at the end of the day, you're human, and what you do is always the best, no matter what other people say. So yeah, that's my talk.
Great job, Isabel. Great job, Isabel. I just want to give a really quick shout out to all the people who gave talks today, who prepared for a very long time, for the months or even weeks or months leading up to camp. Let's give a round of applause for everyone who gave us talks. Okay, so I think that all of us have had a lot of learning for a little bit. So let's take a short 5-minute break for us to go out and kind of go to the bathroom or whatever. And then we're gonna come back and do some indoor games and just kind of decompress for a little bit. Okay?